Hey everybody, Dr. Mark here, and I am joined once again by Dr. Eddie Weller. And looking forward to our conversation, which we may actually have a little bit of a debate today. You ready to get rolling, Eddie?
Always.
Okay, buddy. So we'll talk about the definition that you shared in regards to chiropractic. And I think that this is such a critical thing in this profession. Um, And the definition says chiropractic is what you say it is. Just ask any chiropractor, which I do, by the way. I do ask chiropractors on the regular when I interview and debate. And it's very discouraging that very few chiropractors can define chiropractic. And it does require some thought. And I think that thought is a very worthy endeavor. So you stated that chiropractic is the study of the spine and its relationship with the function of the nervous system. Chiropractors understand that there is a divine entity within the nervous system that creates, mends, and adapts all matter the best it uh, can with what it resides in. Now, you still good with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Can I go over the issues that I have with it?
You have issues with everybody's definition, so go ahead.
No, I mean, I think it's good to be critical.
It
I
is.
think
It
it's
is.
wrong?
Actually, I woke up this morning thinking about that, and I said, when somebody comes in, I had a lady the other day with a 5-year-old they bring on in with liver failure, and she says, "I hear you help people." I said, "Well, that there's this divine entity within the spine, and it knows all, and it adapts, and it's metaphysical, and nobody gives a damn, right? Nobody cares." And they want to know, can you help
I've been
my
told that. Even
right?
though what you just said is theosophy, that's theosophy. Eddie, if we don't, this is the essence of our profession. I know you want to say that it's technique.
But
Technique is very
no,
important.
hold on.
Hear
The
me out, hear
reason
me
I
out, hear me out, hear me out. If we can't define what we do not have a scope of practice.
no,
And that is a major issue. This is the biggest issue that's destroying chiropractic is we do not want to
do you
define
think
it.
any chiropractor would not agree with my definition? Do you think
I'm saying I don't
99
agree. I don't
90
agree with it.
well, no, you don't. You're
Let's
the
keep
half
it
a percent. But if 99% of the profession, if they believe in vertebral subluxation, that's in my
you Eddie.
definition.
Okay, no, it's not. Let's stop right there.
It is.
There is no
Totally
mention
it
of
is. It's the study
Eddie.
of the spine. Yeah, it is.
Eddie, Eddie, there is no mention of vertebral subluxation. Orthopedics study the spine. Neurologists study the spine. There is no mention of vertebral subluxations, number one. And then the second thing, when you start talking about a divine entity, you now make chiropractic a religion. It is
No.
theosophy. Not Reggie, BJ Palmer did that. D.D. Palmer did that. And that made chiropractic a religion. And that is called theosophy
It
and
should be a
not
religion.
good for
Should be a
chiropractic.
religion. BJ said if I had to do it over, I'd turn it into a religion. It should be one because there's more
Oh,
faith
well,
in the power that there's more faith in this entity of God than it is to understand the power of the nervous system. If it's the study of the spine, nobody is taking the study of the spine and the life force inside of it and melding the two, except for chiropractic. Neurologists will give you a drug to speed it up.
okay, hold up.
Nobody
We're
does.
talking vertebral subluxation.
Right.
That is the chiropractic entity, not the spine and not the nerve system. Vertebral subluxation. Because here's the thing: when
What do
you
you say? But what do you say to a friend of mine who I was talking to yesterday, who's an orthopedic surgeon, and we were talking vertebral subluxation? He goes, "I see him all the time."
Great, that's great. Let's first, before we can go and bring this to the world, let's first define the entity of the profession that we're in. Before we talk about all these miracle cases and all these therapeutic symptoms going away,
Right.
which is, by the way, physical medicine, let's define chiropractic within chiropractors so we can bring it to the world. Because
Yeah.
I have this same conversation. Oh, but I had somebody come in with this, and then nobody cares about that. Okay, yes, I have been criticized that I love chiropractic too much. I have been criticized that I care too much about bringing chiropractic to the world, and that chiropractors have avoided defining chiropractic because they don't want to be put in the box. They don't want to lose any freedom to do whatever they want to do.
I don't know
And
if they. I don't know. I mean, I'd agree with you, but I don't know if they'd avoid it. I just think, per their teaching institution, They're all taught a different title, and it can be anything that you want. It's all inclusive. It's like every liberal out there, right? It's all
Okay,
inclusive, everything works.
I
And
just said that.
to
I
your
just
point,
said that.
right? And
Okay,
then, like
so
you said, I'm in agreement with you. However,
okay.
when we define vertebral subluxation's not ours. We don't know.
Vertebral subluxation. There is no profession that defines it to the level that we do as chiropractors. Just like you said earlier,
Agreed.
taking the metaphysical and the physical and the interface of force. Nobody does that.
Right.
And are we going to have to clarify it, talking to other professions and then be able to educate our community? Yes, I have a whole institute that teaches that. NTSC Institute that teaches the lost art of communication. Even BJ said we did a great job with making this a repeatable science and a horrible job educating the world on what we do. Now,
Right.
BJ never left the therapeutic model. I'm not faulting him for that. He was very close to NTC when he was defending chiropractors from going to jail around the country, and he was talking about we're doing something separate and distinct. A lot of this and he was going in the right direction, and BJ's utopia that what evidence we have, and he's not here anymore to actually state his case, so we have to remember that. Neither is DD or Stevenson. Um, he was going in that right direction where everybody gets checked. Even in volume 18, if I'm not mistaken, he said the longest anybody's gone under his chiropractic was 27.5 days without needing an adjustment. Okay, and I'm quoting BJ.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
keep in mind,
Yeah.
so there is
29.8, but it doesn't matter. It was 30 days without needing an adjustment. However, the
the
way he
point. The point is
that's a
there
whole
was
other story. That's a whole
there,
other
do what do
that's a
what
whole other story about
the,
holding the adjustment longer than the
okay,
other.
yeah, we're not ready for that one. Let's just work on this.
No,
The
nobody
point
is.
that
Nobody is.
the
Yeah. Without a
but,
gauge, without a gauge, we're done.
I'm ready, Eddie. I'm ready, believe me. But the point that I'm saying is this.
You want to be so right. It's so sick.
He
You have to
no
understand the other. You do. You're itching to be so right about my way.
actually
And so
not the quest is truth.
if we're not
The,
talking subluxation in theophilosophy, no, it's the life God-given intelligence within the nerve. There is.
okay,
You can
Eddie,
say God all
hold up.
day long. Who created
I
you?
don't. You're going off
God.
the rails again. You're going off the rails again.
I'm
The
not even.
point that we were just talking that there was the need for some sort of regularity in having your spine checked. Now, when you start talking about God and interfusing theology and you want to make chiropractic a religion, I totally disagree. And I'm a devout Christian. I think that's blasphemous. And chiropractic has a basic science, chiropractic has an applied science, and we have a philosophy. It's already complete. Making it a religion and basing it
It's
on
not
faith.
making a religion. If you tie
You
in the
just said that.
philosophy, if you, I didn't say, BJ wanted to make it a philosophy, a religion. If he had to do it
You,
all over,
oh
he
my
said, I turned into a religion. However, if we understand that there is this divine, I won't even say divine, a life force energy in the nerve supply, where did that come from? And if we understand that, like here, watch this story, brother. I am a trimester 7 student, and hey, Mr. Upper Cervical Specialist, the instructors would come after me all the time. It's so stupid. We bash each other on technique. It's so dumb.
That's
Anyway,
great conversation.
he's on the other side of the room, and he's like, somebody comes in your, I'm trimester 7, 8, I'm try 8. Somebody comes in your office and they have knee pain. What are you going to do for them? I said, I'm going to analyze the spine, find the subluxation within the spine, adjust the spine accordingly, and watch the God-given intelligence within the nerve supply do what it's supposed to do at that given time. He's like, fine. Somebody comes in your office with shoulder pain. What are you going to do for him? I'm going to analyze the spine, find the vertebral subluxation within the spine, adjust the spine accordingly, and allow the God. I said the same thing. It doesn't matter the condition. If we understand that subluxation is compromising the life force within the nerve, and that life force comes from our creator, then we have to understand that it's bigger than what we could imagine. And to say the word God in the middle of a chiropractic conversation is far from blasphemous. It's giving credit to where credit's due.
I disagree.
You can't,
And keep in mind,
because the fact
I
that you can
actually
think comes from somewhere. The fact
okay,
that your heart's beating
okay,
comes from somewhere.
Eddie, there's no doubt about that. So let's backtrack a little bit. Stevenson is not here anymore. He died, I believe, in 1951.
Yep.
It appears, and keep in mind, he was incongruent as BJ was incongruent. But one of the things that he did, that it appears from the 33 principles, he stopped the major premise at, in his words, universal intelligence, which we changed to a universal principle of organization. And we changed these things to laws. Yes, God created the universe, in my opinion. Yes. Jesus died for our sins. Yes. And in the Bible, the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike, that God put principles in this universe. So we're not talking about it where it came from, because the atheist, the Muslim, and the Christian and Jew can all benefit. And the bottom line is, these are principles. And you
Yeah.
can we can
Okay.
argue
I'm
theology.
talking,
Hold
I'm
up,
talking
hold up, hold
life.
up, hold up, Eddie.
I'm not
Eddie, let
talking
me finish.
Christianity. I'm
We
talking
can argue where they came from. That's fine. What we're dealing with is a principle of science, no different than the law of gravity, the law of inertia, the laws of thermodynamics. These are principles. The innate law is a principle in all living things. It is not the soul, as BJ wanted to say, and it doesn't talk to you. We all living things have an
totally agree.
innate law.
I'm 100% agree with you. 100%.
But you
Not
don't
even
say
not
that.
even
But you don't
99.
say that. Do
Not
what?
even 99%. There's 100% of me that would not disagree with a single thing you just said. We've been
Okay, great.
I've been on that same page since 1998 when I graduated school. That exact
Don't,
same thing.
but
There's a
Eddie,
life,
but
there
then
is
you
a
go
life,
into theosophy.
there is a life force within the matter called innate life force, and then there's a spiritual side, which is the relational side. Two different things. And so when I understand that again, the personality of Eddie is very different than the innate in Eddie. Like when chiropractors say innate told me, innate doesn't tell you a thing. Innate animates matter. And if we understand that there's an animation of that matter through the force of that life force that goes through that nerve supply, and if that vertebral subluxation is present, there's a compromise of that life force, whatever you want to call it, because it gives life to every cell, tissue, and organ of the body. And if we understand that a vertebrae is torqued out of position and that disruption of the spine, because we studied the spine, the disruption of the spine is causing an abnormal nerve supply, and abnormal nerve supply is causing abnormal function. Abnormal function is causing a subpar, diseased body. You are growing into death faster than you are sustaining life. That's chiropractic. That's it. And I don't know how you and I are on the same page with that. And I don't know how anybody, we're the profession, well, we need to lock arms and saying, hey, if we don't own vertebral subluxation, can your shoulder be subluxated? No, not according to the chiropractic definition. However, many would disagree. You need to adjust the calcaneus. Many would disagree. And I think the downfall is if we're going to check a gauging system, right? A system that we have to have a gauge. We have to have a way, something, somehow, whatever that is. We have to have something that proves our work as chiropractors, because we can say the philosophy is great when we adjust the spine and watch innate work. This is where I crushed Reggie in the conversation. Absolutely devoured
I
him.
doubt that. I so doubt that. I really doubt that.
He got up
Because
and walked away. He got
Eddie,
up and
Eddie,
walked away.
okay,
Because I asked
dude,
him, how do you know that you made an adjustment? I was trying to
and
say, how do you know?
I
And he
do not
goes,
believe
innate
you.
knows. He goes, innate
No,
knows.
and I do not believe that that's what Reggie said. This is you're talking what? No, because let me tell you. Okay, let me tell you, because
I can give you
I'm very
30
comfortable with
references.
this.
I can give you
I'm
30
very
references.
okay. Yeah, send the references. That'd be fine. Let me tell you how I trained under
Well, there's one
Reggie.
thing
I
about me,
trained
dude.
under Joe D.
There's one thing
Send me
about me.
references. That's fine, because I don't believe that. Here is the
What
analysis
is he going to
that I
say? What would
utilize.
he say? How would Reggie define? Reggie's not God. How would Reggie
No,
define that he's your God? So how would Reggie
I'm
define
sorry. Say that again. Say that again.
when Reggie makes an adjustment? What would
I'm
he
not
say?
okay.
What would he say? How would he say
Let
it?
me
I
just
don't
be
know. You
clear.
know. What would he say?
Okay. One, to be totally straight, I'm not going to speak for Reggie. Reggie and I did have disagreements.
Sure.
Reggie was the most brilliant philosopher of his time and revolutionized chiropractic. So much
I
respect to
love him.
Reggie.
I love him.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I will give you how I analyze the spine. And he started it with vertebrae, and Nick Spano in its evolution went to advanced muscle palpation. So I'm going to give you the philosophy behind it.
Yep.
And I want to correct something you said earlier. I do not want to be right. My quest is truth. If I am wrong, then show me the work. Logically debate me on that. And then second, if I can't argue my case, then I better go back and figure it out. Because if I am wrong, great. Because I want truth. This what this
Right.
is about. I don't care if anybody remembers my name. The goal of all of these conversations is truth. So in the advanced muscle palpation, the idea is this. This is where the theory of advanced muscle palpation is. That as we discussed, every technique has one thing in common, trying to figure out what the innate law of living things is trying to do. So there's one system that's in charge of motion, and that would be the muscular system. And this would be my argument with X-rays. X-rays do not show what innate normal is. You can go, and I've been in upper cervical, and I've talked with upper cervical chiropractors. They can all have different listings from these X-rays of like points. They can have different listings, and BJ called them majors and minors, which I disagreed with. So on the one side, with AMP, the idea is that the innate law is using the muscle, the paraspinal muscles around the bones, trying to pull the bone back in place when a vertebral subluxation is present. So by palpating these muscles, you can determine A, the presence of a vertebral subluxation, and B, the vector in which the innate law is trying to make the adjustment. Now, once you educationally place that force in that vector, what do? You post-check it to see if the paraspinal muscles have been reduced. There have been, and I get instrumentation. And Jim Healy has a great article that I recommend you read, and it may be up on the Chiropractic Trust website, Analytical Certainty. So it is possible that in these heat readings of different instrumentation, that I know, and I know there's the theory of the capillary theory. There's a theory of the nerves being hot. There's the theory of surface temperature. And there's also the theory that the instrument can be reading the heat from the working muscles trying to make the adjustment. Now, you have said, well, why doesn't innate just make the adjustment all the time? Because the innate law is limited by the matter in which it resides, and innate law will adapt universal forces and matter so long as it can do so without breaking universal law. So as you said, and I agree with you, it is not about a cavitation, although that does happen. It is about the pre and post analysis that has the working muscles been reduced. And is there subjectivity? Of course, there's subjectivity to every chiropractic analysis. And I'm totally okay with that. As long as there's humans involved, there's going to be an element of subjectivity. I've seen it with Michael Kale. I've seen it with BJ Palmer, that they come in with their experience, and it's a whole different, almost at times opposite listing than what the chiropractor in the field was doing. And then they go and they clear it out on the scan and the pattern analysis. Personally, I see the logic of pattern analysis and repeatability. I don't have a problem with it. I think great. I have more of a debate on X-ray because it's not showing us anything, I don't think. And on the other side of it, I do love the correlation at times in research between AMP and instrumentation. Though correlation is not causation, it makes a wonderful argument. And then there's other correlations as well with the density of the proprioceptive fibers in the zygapophyseal joint, creating a reflex arc to the brain, back to the paraspinal muscles that support this argument. And I know you're a big research guy, probably more so than me. I love research, probably should be doing more in my office to see about repeatability on high-level AMP chiropractors. So that is the analysis. And I am not speaking for Reggie or Joe Strauss or Joe D'Onofrio. I do consider them the greatest, big three, greatest chiropractors of their time, especially Joe D. And I don't want to speak for Reggie, but I would say this is how he taught me.
Okay.
Cool. So
You have to,
we
I think
disagree.
we also have to understand that, I mean, that was a mouthful. I think we also have to
I
understand,
know, it's a lot to digest.
I'm with you on X-ray. It's just a variable static piece. This is one of the reasons why I take cone beam 3D images so I can see this global thing. I never draw a single line on a film. I think it's foolish, only because you should be able to see it and where that's at. Where the major and minor's at, and that whole argument, I don't argue that. Muscles are controlled by nerves. Nerves are dictated by what's going on within the spine. So I'm more concerned about the nerve supply to the muscle than the muscle itself. And so there was a woman that I was talking to yesterday, and I said, "You realize you've been with me 19 years?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "You come about every 6 to 8 weeks because you hold your adjustments about every 6 to 8 weeks." And I said, I took a picture of her scans. I said, "Those two scans are matching, don't you think?" And she's like, "Yeah." I go, "Those are 19 years apart." So when you subluxate, look at this. That was 19 years. Here's the date. And I walked her up to my computer screen and I overlaid them, and those matched, which means when you subluxate, the exact same pattern of structure compromise the exact same neurologic dysfunction in the spine. And there's the data. And
Yeah, I
so,
mean, honestly, yeah, and I see that in my office all the time. And BJ talked about this, and I think this is one area he was accurate.
well,
That
hold on.
typically,
The beauty, real quick, but the beauty of this is I didn't make that scan. The woman who's in my life, she does hair, not mine, but she does hair. And I'm having her scan people right now because she's really good with her hands and she's scanning. So somebody who knows very little of chiropractic,
Mhm.
took an instrument and scanned the spine and goes, "Hey, check that out." This is some sort of duplicatability from one chiropractic office to the next.
Sure, okay,
No
great.
continuity. There's no continuity between every single chiropractor. None, zero.
And there
And
never will be. There never will be. And I
and
understand
therefore
BJ wanted that.
and therefore there's no science.
No, I disagree with that. I
You
disagree
can,
with
you
that.
can,
And
you can, you can.
I
There's got
mean,
to be a
here's the
gauging
thing is,
system. Gauging system enables us to be scientific in our nature. And so without a gauging system, we're guessing. It's like I have a fever. Chiropractors go, "Yeah, you sure do. That's probably 102.1." No, you have a thermometer. We use a gauge. You have really high blood pressure. I can feel it. No, we have a machine, we have technology to lets us know what's wrong. Data is important. That's objective. You and I are too subjective in nature. We have our own beliefs on what's right and what's wrong. And somebody says, "Can you help me?" What does that mean? It all depends on what kind of chiro treater or chiropractor you're going to be. And if there's not a uniform understanding that, yes, we believe in subluxation, we believe in vertebral subluxation. We believe that there's this innate energy, life force, whatever you want to call it, that is resides within the nerve. We call it the neurologic system. Who put the logic in the nerve? God did. And when we understand that there's an entity, this isn't relation, this is a religion, this is a relationship between our creator and innate. And we get to
yeah,
meld
now
those
we're in
together.
theosophy. Now we're in theosophy.
It,
So the thing
has
is, Eddie,
has nothing.
when we look at, and these are, if we can't agree, and what we're talking about is really chiropractic, very basic science and very basic philosophy that we're not agreeing upon. Like Stevenson was genius not only in the 33 principles but also in the normal complete cycle. And yes, we have to modify things because we know more now, but these are very basic chiropractic principles. And when you say, "Oh, you're just being super straight, this, that, and the other," when we look at the human body in any science, we have a basic science in any profession, and we have an applied science.
Yeah,
And when we work with the body, there is going to be a massive amount of art involved. And that's in any profession. If you don't like what one person says in any profession, you get a second opinion based on experience, so on and so forth. So when we say a gauge, we're not measuring because we don't know what innate normal is. We're analyzing. And
right.
there are going to be different chiropractors that resonate with different people. Is there a repeatability in what I do? Yes. Depending upon, just the same as it depends upon you, my skill set in my analysis and how often I see the people. You, as you know, have to establish a pattern. And how do you do that? By seeing somebody repeatedly. So even though we have different techniques, which is fine, we have the core of the basic science of chiropractic and the repeatability based on seeing people on some kind of regular basis. If you don't establish a pattern, you don't know when a vertebral subluxation is there. You see what I'm saying?
I
So
agree.
we
I
can
agree.
live with different techniques. That's not a problem. We just have to be able to argue our technique in a logical, congruent way in chiropractic.
Sure. I mean, the justification, of course, of each one of this is another reason why I always talk about how diversified is not a technique, because there's no application. All the SOT, activator, everybody's got some sort of reasoning of when and where to adjust, except for diversified. And so it's because it's just pushing down the high spots. I held a seminar this weekend. It was a retired doc, doing diversified. He goes, man, he's talking innate, he's talking all this stuff. And I go, well, you don't have any idea if you made an adjustment or not, because you have no post analysis. There's no post analysis in diversified. And so
This is why we have to have debates. You just solidify. We have to have these debates. And where
we disagree. We all have our protocols. I mean, I've got a protocol. There's a lady with me 8 months now. She's holding her adjustment. 8 months. Legs are balanced. Check her scan. Clear as a bell. 8 months. She would be adjusted by a chiropractor. Every single time somebody sees a chiropractor, all these straight chiros that I know, I'm always talking about, let's check, locate and correct vertebral subluxation when necessary. They always make it necessary. Every single visit, somebody gets manipulated or adjusted. Every
and
single
and I mean, we can argue that, and I get it. Once again, the only way we are justified in what we do is through the criticism of debate. And okay, if we have a theory and what we're working with, even the vertebral subluxation is theory, it's backed by wonderful research, congruency, and also applied science of in our offices.
Right.
Debates are so possible. I'm not here to be right. I'm here as the quest of truth. So this can happen, but I would say the first step is having an understanding of chiropractic basic science and a definition that's congruent on principle, not theosophy, but principle.
So if I put vertebral subluxation in my initial definition with you, you'd be good.
That's a huge yes, but I would also have issue with the divine.
Okay.
I do not want chiropractic to be a religion, Eddie, and we can disagree on this. We can.
Every single human being, even if you're atheist, but every single human being understands that there's something intelligence inside of me. I mean, principle number 25, the character of innate forces. I
The
mean,
character of innate forces never injure or destroy the structure in which it works.
never. So with that,
Okay.
if it not, so therefore the intelligence that created me is smarter than me, and it's only of good.
Okay, Stevenson stayed away from that intentionally.
I don't
Let's
care.
look at
I would
chiropractic.
argue,
Okay,
Stevenson.
then we disagree. I disagree. I care. And I do not want chiropractic to be a religion. It doesn't have to be. We're working with principle, which, as you being a man of science, that principle, because I'm a man of faith, not in chiropractic. I'm a man of science in chiropractic, okay?
Sure.
And I do not want it to be a religion because there's so many things that can go wrong with that.
But
And
I agree, but it's not religion. But innate has nothing to do with science.
okay, and that's where the art comes from. And we're going to have different chiropractors with different opinions,
Well,
and there's
then
going to
where's
be an
the
art.
science come from? If innate has nothing to do with the science, then where's the? Because I know that the neurologic impulse travel at 268 miles an hour, and when you compromise those electrical impulses, abnormal signals make abnormal things.
Okay, and I would say that now the research is saying it's not electrical at all, it's sonic, and that's where the research is going. The innate is a law, and
Fine,
that's where the
it can
science
still be
comes from.
measured, but that
Huh?
impulse can still be measured.
It
Sonic.
can't be, no, it cannot be measured. It cannot be measured. It can be analyzed. There's a huge difference. We do not know what innate normal is. And then on the
No,
other side of
I'm
it,
talking
this is
electrical.
where
I'm
you,
not talking innate normal. I'm talking electrical.
okay, and I'm talking innate normal. That's the only thing I care about in regards to the body is what
But,
innate normal is.
but
And
innate,
electrical,
I know that, but that's all philosophy. There's no proof in our philosophy. Go on to the
oh,
stand.
yes, there is. There certainly is through the chiropractic basic science. And that's going back to what you said. The innate is a law, and that is where the science comes from. It is the innate law of living things.
But
That
we
is
have
the
to prove
science,
that law of
not
life.
a spiritual. Do what?
But how do you prove that law of life if you, as a chiropractor, not you, us as a profession,
Okay.
you're on a stand and somebody's firing, and they say, you laid your hands on the spine and you talk about vertebral subluxation, Eddie. And when you adjust that spine, what proof do you have, Eddie, that the vertebral subluxation was corrected and that this innate thing was doing its job? What proof do you have,
Okay.
Eddie?
Okay.
And
That's
therefore,
where
the
we go back
chiropractors are
to.
screwed.
That's where we go
Chiropractors.
back to principle, and I believe it's number 17, that the signs of life. So one, we'd have to use deductive reasoning here, and there is a word for it
Well,
that you
17
prove
is cause
something.
and
Hear me out.
effect.
Hear me out. Hear me out. You
17
asked
is
a
cause and
question.
effect.
Okay.
17 is
All
cause
right.
and effect.
Then it'll be 16. Then it'll be 16.
Yeah.
The
So
signs of life. When there is a word, it escapes
18,
me
18
that
is
you can prove something not by its existence, but by the function of its existence. And that's where Stevenson, again, brilliant. The
yes.
signs of life are evidence of the
But
intelligence of life.
here we go. Oh, you
I
just said the word. You just said the word. So that's my point right now, is that it's not a religion that, Principle 18 talks about there's an evidence that there's an intelligence, right, of life. That's in
okay.
principle. So if there's an evidence that there's an intelligence, where did that intelligence come from?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're
I know.
stopping before God. Eddie, can you hear me out? Can you hear me out? Because I want to answer this question. The signs of life: assimilation, excretion, adaptability, growth, and reproduction. We can observe these things happening. Observation.
Yes.
How do I know? I post checked the muscles. Pre-check and post-check. Regardless,
God
people gotta
forbid,
trust
God
you.
forbid
People
somebody
gotta
comes.
trust me. Eddie, hear me out. There has to be trust,
Such a very
repeatability, and you've got to make logical sense. It's pretty simple.
It's not simple because I had a guy in my office. He broke his neck. He's paralyzed neck down. Good luck with your palpation. Good luck. And so what
Okay.
happens
Well,
is,
I don't need luck. I don't need luck. I've got experience.
I
When you
know,
throw
but
these things
somebody's
at me, these are
paralyzed.
anecdotal.
But somebody's paralyzed. You are palpating the effects. And so what happens is when you scan somebody neural, that's my gauge. I don't care if your blood pressure. I don't care.
Oh,
Have
what
something
you're
objective
measuring
in
is
nature.
not the effects. Eddie, now you're not making sense. Regardless, the innate law does the best that it can within the matter that it resides. Your
Theoretically,
technique, my technique, every technique has that as its basis.
theoretically.
So, no, logically, not theoretically, deductive logic. These are the terms that are very important. So, here's the
We
thing.
are under the assumption that innate is 100% on the job.
Always. That's part of the deductive logic. The innate law is always 100%. The force it creates is always 100%.
And
And then,
its expression is not.
of course,
Okay.
at the interface of
Right.
force and matter, of course, it's not. And we work within the limitations of matter to try to figure out what the innate law is doing in the matter that it resides in vertebrates. So it's 904,
And
Eddie.
that's where and then somebody would say to try to figure out. What do you mean? You don't know what you're doing? You to try to figure out.
Oh, no, no. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can logically explain it to everybody. So, what you're saying, the examples that you're trying to put on me, they don't happen because I can logically explain it congruently to the people that I serve. And I teach it online how to explain, how to first understand it, define it, understand it, and apply the chiropractic basic science, 33 principles, normal complete cycle to communicating it to the world, and then the applied science in our office.
Yep.
So let's continue. Let's
Without
continue. I know you've got Bible study,
any
and
be with one chiropractor to the next. There's no congruency from one chiropractor to the next. And
well,
this is
first of all, we've got to
this is
get a
the
congruent
sole reason.
definition.
This is the Forget the definition. The application
Then we
sucks.
disagree totally. We totally,
I
because
know.
I don't agree with your definition. I do not agree with it. I do not agree with theosophy. I, I, I,
It's
I,
not theosophy.
I.
It's giving credit to where credit's due. Nobody
Okay,
would.
well, you know what? As long as you're trying to make chiropractic a religion, we're always going to disagree upon that.
It's not a
So
religion.
we're
It's not
working with
religion.
laws, and laws are repeatable. And we're working with predictability in regards to deductive reasoning. And if there is a basic science as basic as you're going to get, and you said something the other time we talked, and you're absolutely right. These principles apply to anything. And you're right. Stevenson started with the biggest a priori statement that there is a universal principle of organization in all matter, continually giving it its property actions, thus maintaining it in existence. And that repeatability goes for physics, that chemistry, the thermodynamics. And then he deducted it down to the smallest thing that we work with, which is a big thing for that person, as BJ would say, the vertebral subluxation. So you are
Yes.
100% right at that. But
Now,
he wanted to
so
show it
therefore, if
deductively.
you're going to claim subluxation, you better prove it.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You better logically
And
be
if you're
able to
palpating it,
explain it.
and if you're palpating it, I wish you luck, man, because you're rolling the
Well,
dice.
I don't need luck, Eddie. I've been very successful. And here's the thing.
What's
You gotta
successful
come with
mean? What's
what does
successful mean?
success?
That's freaking vomit.
Okay,
And so
so you know what, Eddie? I'll tell you
a
what
lady
successful means.
yesterday that
Being
says
able to define what you do, serving people congruently and logically. And you say, and I think you've said this before, well, we've got to see some physiological function get better. Heart rate, is that correct?
no,
That you're going to see,
change.
huh?
Just change.
Change in what?
So it's not statics. Have it change.
Change in what?
Physiology. Have some sort of gauging system that changes something. You did something that changed it.
That's chiropractic analysis. That's the chiropractic analysis. One
Sure.
result
But
that you cleared out the vertebral
your
subluxation.
analysis is different than mine.
Fine.
It's
That's
not saying
great.
it's right
And
or
I
wrong.
can
It's not saying
logically
it's right,
explain my analysis. Huh?
but that's not saying it's right or wrong. Whoever's right or wrong. The guy across the street, I'm looking at a chiro office, and I'm not going to say the franchise is right there.
I don't want to know.
And they're going to say they're right. And then
Fine.
there's 100,
Logically
there's
explain it.
114 there's 114 chiropractors within a 10-mile radius of my office, and they all think they're right, including me.
Great. That's awesome. That's awesome. Can they demonstrate it logically through a debate? Can they demonstrate it congruently? You and I cannot even agree on a definition of chiropractic. So how do you even have a profession that doesn't want to create a definition, Eddie?
Hence the
That's
fall.
that's where it starts.
Hence the fall of the profession. So if I put in
Now
vertebral
we agree.
subluxation, if I remove divine, and if I add subluxation, then we're good.
We'd have to hash it out a little bit more. Vertebral subluxation. No, we'd have to hash it out more here. We'd
Okay.
have to hash it out more because Eddie, here's the thing. I will give you the best definition that I have of chiropractic right now in this profession. That chiropractic is the analysis and the facilitation of vertebral subluxations because
What's facilitation?
a facilitation is where the chiropractor analyzes the spine, creates a universal force so that educatedly creating that force with the intent that it's transitioned to an innate force. The chiropractor does not make the adjustment.
Right.
Innate law makes the adjustment. The best the chiropractor can do is to be a part of that adjustment by educatedly placing that force in the direction that it can be converted to an innate force so the innate law can make an adjustment, allowing for a fuller expression of innate and trophic impulses. And that's the best we can do. Chiropractic is all education toward this objective. Chiropractic is nothing else. So
I'm
do
not
I think
I'm not arguing that. We just have to be able to prove it congruent. I wouldn't argue that at all. Of course. I mean, I'm not
awesome.
even. The problem is there's no way of proving what we just said. It's all
Well,
theory.
we have deductive reasoning. Whenever you're working with metaphysical components, you have to have some element of deductive reasoning that make an airtight logical case.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
I hate the term metaphysical. It's just like I hate facilitation. I just can't
Okay,
stand.
I get it. I get it. So you know what? Come up with better terms because
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a religion. I think there's massive issues there, and we can debate those terms.
Because you say the word divine or God makes it a religion?
Yeah, that's
No
that's
way.
the basis of religion, Eddie. Yes.
No. The religion has
Okay,
to
we disagree, Eddie. We
Yeah.
disagree. So we're bringing up the same points that we're
Yeah.
going to disagree upon. I'm
Sure.
glad that you now understand, or we shared my analysis as well, and everything is logically deducted and congruent with the 33 principles and the normal complete cycle, chiropractic philosophy, and how we apply it in the applied science and how I analyze the spine.
I would love, even per my ignorance, I would love to see that AMP video protocol on how somebody justifies going, yeah, that's doing great now.
Okay, because we don't do motion palpation. That's
Well,
exactly right.
again,
You're using analysis that I don't use. That would be
again,
like me doing that to
hold
you,
on,
Eddie.
golly, you have this need to justify yourself.
No,
Yeah,
no. I have a
I
need to
just
correct you
said,
when you're wrong.
would you just stop? I just said my ignorance. My ignorance. I don't know.
I just freaking explained it to you. I
No.
just literally explained you my analysis. You got to listen, Eddie.
Do it again. Say it again.
We don't have time to do it again.
Right.
Dude,
So the
we've been on
analysis
for
of
40 minutes.
advanced,
Watch the video
what
again.
does AMP stand for?
Advanced muscle palpation. Check out Jim Haley's
I will.
article on analytical certainty.
I will. I will. Muscle
Awesome.
palpation, which is the effect of something. It's a side effect of being
No,
in a.
no, it's an analysis in the exact same way that you're analyzing the spine with your instrument.
Totally
That we're
disagree.
trying. Do what?
My instrument. I have no control over my instrument. You have control over your hands.
Well, you better have
You're
control
making
of
an
your instrument,
educated.
or it's going to be going all over the room. You better have control, and you better be able to argue it. It's that simple. Like I better have
I
control,
have
and I
no
better be
control of
able to
that.
argue it.
I have no control of that. You have
Yeah, you
control.
do. You do. You're saying there's no skill to running an instrument. BJ Palmer would disagree with that. He
There's
said
a
it took
skill.
10,000
However,
times.
I had a woman that does hair scan patients yesterday,
Okay, well, then we could argue that,
and
but we're out of time.
she's getting identical data as
Okay,
me. So
so
no,
then you throw
no.
out that BJ Palmer said it takes 10,000 scans to get proficient
And that was
at
the
the
NCM.
neurocalligraph.
That was the NCM. This is very different technology. This
All
makes
right.
them.
Well, then
But
we will continue our debate, Eddie.
love it. I love it. Love it.
You have a great day, bro.
You too, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later, buddy.
Bye, buddy.
Bye bye.